Yo, first things first, it's time to shake ground in the 8th round. Box battle will break down for the beat and the rhyme tone. Jump in the cyclone, S-C-Y-L-E-S, yes I know.
Okay, so if you're watching this, then you're signed up to either a personal training or boot camps, and one of the things we're going to go over is a few basic moves. Now, one of the most basic of the moves that we're going to go over today is the squat. Now, this is what I'm going to do in this video here. In the squat, over the course of the personal training, over the course of the boot camps, we're going to go from a basic bodyweight squat, and we're going to add some resistance, we're going to load it, you might even have a competition day. So it's really kind of key that we get this right. So, basic bodyweight squat, feet kind of shoulder width apart, and all you're going to do is drive your hips backwards and down, open up the knees, and keep the weight in the heels. So I'll give you a few reps of that here. And back. Okay, now there's a few common faults that a lot of you might kind of find when you're squatting. The first one is the knees coming way over the toes, and that's a common fault when you bend the knees first. Okay, so when you bend the knees first, the knees are going to come all the way over the toes, and there's going to be a lot of kind of shear force on the knees. So we want to try and avoid that. So the first thing you're going to do is, rather than bending the knees first, you're going to bend the hips first. So all you're going to do is drive the hips backwards as the knees bend. So drive the hips backwards as the knees bend, and as you're doing that, try and push your knees open so they track over the toes. So driving the hips and the knees all the way down. Now the other aim that you're going to do is, you're not going to do a little curtsy. Okay, you're going to try and get your hips below your knee line. So to do that, you really need to push the knees open to accommodate the hips, so that the crease of your hips gets below your knee. Okay. Another key fault we see is if you're very, very tight around the kind of calves and the ankles, is that the heels come up. Okay, if the heels come up, it shoots everything forward, you kind of front loaded, and if we add on any weight, it can get a little bit dangerous. So what we want to try and do is keep the toes up. And to do that, you need to force the heels into the ground. So when you come up, I want you to think about lifting your toes off the ground and back up. So you're keeping everything the same as we've just done. Push the knees open, weight in the heels, and try and lift your toes up. Okay, another key fault that we kind of see is collapse of the chest. So when people squat, they kind of face down and they kind of squat here. Now one of the key things you can do, if you've got a brick wall like this, is to practice your squat. While you're squatting, you just turn around. Now, if you collapse from the chest, you're going to smack your face. So what you want to do is practice the squat so that you don't kind of collapse from the chest and hit your face off the wall. Okay, so again, one of the key faults we see is the knees kind of coming over the toes. Okay, and that happens when you bend the knees first. When you bend the knees first, everything kind of gets pushed front loaded. Okay, and that puts a lot of shear kind of force on the knees. And that's okay if you're quite light, but if you're carrying a wee bit extra weight, that's going to be a lot of force going to the knees. So instead of bending the knees first, what I want you to do is bend the hips first and drive your hips back. And as you drive your hips back, I want you to just push your knees open as to accommodate your hips to allow you to get down. Okay, so drive your hips first as the knees bend, push your knees open to track over the toes, and come back up again. Push them open and come back up. Another key fault that we see is when the calves and your ankles are very, very tight. You maybe sit down for long periods of time, or you wear high heels, is that you're on your toes and the heels come up when you're squatting. Now, that's not going to cause an awful lot of problem, but it's going to adjust the squat to a way that we don't like, and also that if you put on any weight on your back or whatever, it's going to cause a lot of problems for your back. So, what I want you to do is think about lifting your toes up, keeping the weight in the heels. So from there, when you squat, try and lift your toes off the floor. Give them a wee wiggle, back up. Drive hips backwards and down, lift your toes, back up. Again, and back up. Another key fault we see is that if you're very, very tight around the hip and the low back, you're going to bring your chest over as you kind of squat. And again, it's not going to cause any problems just now, but if you apply load, if you apply resistance, that's going to cause serious kind of problems in the low back. So what I want you to do is keep your chest up and think about having a brick wall here. So you've got a wall here, you can use that to kind of turn around. I'll do that in a second, but for now, try and keep your chest up as high as you can as you squat down. If you can kind of feel yourself looking down on the ground, chances are you're coming over. So we want to try and avoid that. So the hips drive backwards, the chest is tight, you squeeze your shoulder blades at the back, and you're driving down into the squat. Okay, so what I want you to do now is practice 10 squats. Look for the common faults that we've talked about. Be careful of your ankles, be careful of your knees tracking forward, and be careful of you collapsing to the chest. Give me 10 squats.